Hello everyone, welcome to the Lalantia show. Today I'm coming on to talk about the Lost Lands. The Lost Lands being Lemuria, Atlantis, and Avalon. Now, I'm not going to go into super deep detail about each of them because I want to do individual videos to really go into each of the Lost Lands much more deeply. But this is kind of an overview of what the Lost Lands are and just like a bit of general information. One thing that I want to stress is that this is my information, like this is what I have channeled and how I understand it to be. I don't have all of the answers. I don't have it all figured out. I don't know everything. There is always so much more to learn. This is just bits and pieces that I have picked up and received over the last 6 years or so. So this is definitely not the full story. There's so much more. For those of you who don't know me already, my name is Lalantia. I'm a psychic realm channeler and energy healer, and I specialize in working with magical beings. So I work with dragons, unicorns, mermaids, fairies, all of the different magical guides. I also work with angels, ascended masters, gods, goddesses, regular spirit guides, and it is all about helping you to connect to the magic of who you really truly are. I help you to remember the wisdom that you hold within you, especially from all of these different amazing past lives. Not all of them amazing. Some of them were very traumatic, but I help you to remember them, to remember the wisdom from them, to heal from the trauma of them. I help you to connect to the magic and truth of who you really truly are, so it can be clearing stuff from this lifetime as well. And so much more. I'll be connect with your amazing spirit team and really the essence of you. That's really the, I want you to have that deep connection with yourself, to fall into alignment so that you can do the work that you're here to do, to live your mission, your purpose, and to be in a space of joy and happiness, because we are meant to be in that space as well. And of course, abundance. So this video, I just want to go over a bit of an overview of Lemuria, Atlantis, and Avalon. I'm not going to go into super deep detail, like I said. The first thing I want to cover is the fact that these different lands did not just exist independently at different times. So over a period of many thousands of years, and I don't know how many thousands of years, but many thousands of years, and I'm not great with time frames, and we also had to remember that time is an illusion, so this is just a way for our human self to understand it. But for very long time, these lands existed. Now, there are many different schools of thought on how long each of them lasted and how long they overlapped each other and whatever. So I just go with what I feel and resonate with. It doesn't mean that it won't change someday. My feelings on it may change, because I do feel like we're always uncovering more information. I know for myself, I'm always receiving more, or I'm understanding it in a different way. And that's a lot of it. It's not necessarily that we are getting wrong information ever. I mean, we can, but it's more like how we understand it, because we don't always understand things 100% correctly. We can make assumptions of different things as well and not really realize that we're making assumptions. So you kind of have to go with what resonates with you. This is my understanding of it at this point in time when I'm recording this video. I have been channeling a lot, and I know that there's always more, there's a lot more stuff coming in. So first of all, the lands of Lemuria, Atlantis, and Avalon, they were not just one city. Each one was vast lands. I don't know how big, but I know that when I have gone into the energy of Atlantis, I know that it stretched across different continents. Now, the continents at that time were arranged differently. So Atlantis could stretch across part of the Americas, part of Europe, and part of Africa. And I feel like I don't fully understand or know exactly where it stretched, but it's not just one city. It was many. It was big. There were many cities. There were many different locations you could have lived during the time of Atlantis. Not only that, is they stretched such a long period of time that it's just like, if we look at our history now, if we go back 200 years, look at how different it is to now. See how different it could be within your different lifetimes in each of these civilizations. So you could have lived in Lemuria, and I think that most all of us did live during the time of Lemuria. You could have had many lifetimes. You could have had one lifetime, but I do believe that most of us had a lifetime during Lemuria. I believe that most of us had lifetimes during Atlantis as well. Maybe less had lifetimes during Avalon, but if you're here, then I would definitely kind of tune into that. But they were vast, and they lasted a very, very long time, thousands of years. So that means that how these different lifetimes looked is going to depend on when you had your lifetime during that period, right? So there is specific energies that kind of exist for each of them that I will talk about in the individual videos for each of these lost lands. Um, so Lemuria, Atlantis, and Avalon, I refer to as the Lost Lands because they are the ones that we know of, or that I have most deeply connected with. I guess I can say it that way. The lands that I have most deeply connected with that are no longer really physically here. Now, yeah, energy of them kind of remains in different locations, but nobody really knows exactly where they were. And like, you can't just like say, oh, I'm going to go to Atlantis, and you go to Atlantis. Like, it's different than that, right? There's not really historical proof of these things, although there is a lot of talk and different things that have been discovered about them. Lemuria less than Atlantis. Atlantis has been one that has been talked about for a very long time. So they lasted a very long time, and they overlapped. It wasn't just like Lemuria existed and then Lemuria fell, and then Atlantis existed and then Atlantis fell and Avalon existed. No, some people say that Avalon existed within the period of all of these, and it just kind of was its own little safe zone. I see it as kind of their own little safe zone. um, and that resonates with me. I haven't received a lot of information about that. I feel like there's a lot more that I'm still kind of integrating and understanding in regards to how long Avalon lasted and how big it was. Lemuria did come first, I guess I want to say. I feel that Lemuria was kind of the one that began first, but Avalon, I believe, began to kind of come shortly afterwards, and then it stretched beyond the time of Atlantis. I feel like I kind of keep going off on little tangents and lose my train of thought here, but I guess that's okay, right? So they lasted kind of overlapping time periods. Now, Lemuria didn't fall. I guess, I suppose you could use the terminology fall, but when you think of it, as, I think a lot of us picture it as just like one small area, and like something catastrophic happens, like a tsunami or something, and then it's no more. I think that it was a series of different events, one of which was the continents began to shift and change a little bit, and that began to break up. So that means that there was probably earthquakes and different events that happened. Now, when Lemuria began to come apart, a lot of the beings of Lemuria began to go to Atlantis and also Avalon, as well as other places across Earth, I guess. But those were kind of the main places that they began to go. Now, Atlantis was a bigger event, but it's still, you have to keep in mind, this is a vast, maybe I shouldn't say a bigger event. I feel like we know or remember more about the events of Atlantis falling. Now, with Atlantis, it was more of a fall, but it still lasted over a period of time. It wasn't just like one day everything fell and Atlantis was no more. No, they had time to, move across to different locations and all of that. Now, there's so much more that I'm going to talk about regarding that in the video that I'm going to talk about Atlantis, because there is so much to talk about regarding the fall of Atlantis, and I just can't really cover it all in this video that's supposed to be short and probably won't be that short. And Avalon went beyond that time period, and Avalon was a place that was a safe haven, especially for the different beings, the different elementals, the different the different magical beings, the dragon fae. These different beings went to Avalon as like their safe haven, their safe place to exist without being going through more like experiments and stuff that they had gone through in the time of Atlantis, or the a period of time during Atlantis. The other thing that I want to mention is that our lifetimes were much longer. So in the time of Lemuria, we lived for hundreds of years. In the time of Atlantis, I believe that we lived for hundreds of years, although less long than we did in Lemuria, I believe. And so even still, the different beings, the different elementals and stuff, they live much longer than we do in our our fully human selves right now, because we have reincarnated as humans. But in those lifetimes, we weren't really human, right? We were Lemurian, we were Atlantean, we were Avalonian or elemental, or different. We were different. Our physical forms were different in those lifetimes. So I will go into more of our physical forms in the individual videos, but I did want to kind of cover that life was very different. We lived very differently. Now, the reason why I feel it's really important for us to reconnect with these different lands is, one, so that we can try to avoid some of the mistakes. I'm going to say mistakes because everything, I feel like, kind of happens because that's how we learn. But the different things that we went through that we don't want to repeat again, and also to reconnect to that wisdom that we held at that time. So we, through much of these lifetimes in Lemuria, Atlantis, and Avalon, we were very deeply connected with the earth. We worked with the earth, in balance with the earth. We worked with, the plants providing all of our food for us. We worked with, the crystals, and we worked with the energy of the earth in all of these amazing ways. And it's important for us to kind of go back to that and be in that place of balance, and to remember this wisdom, and to remember how we worked with energy, to remember how energy works. And so each person who feels the call to this, because I'm not going to, like, not everybody incarnated at this time is going to move into doing energy work, but you're watching this video and you feel that call that you're meant to do something bigger, then remembering this energy from these different lifetimes where you may have really stood in your power, you really used your skills and your abilities, you felt this deep connection with the earth, maybe you felt this deep connection with the elementals, you worked in community, you worked with others cohesively and with the earth. And this is the energy that we want to bring forward and to remember. We're not going to go back to the lost lands. We're not going to go back to being like we were in Avalon, Lemuria, or Atlantis. We're not going to go back to that, but we can bring that forward with us. Now, in each of these lifetimes, we worked very much with the energy of crystals. Now, we have been feeling that call back to crystals in the past, I don't know, quite a few years. And so that energy is helping awakening our remembrance within us. It's helping us to remember these different ways that we worked with things. And the crystals in those lifetimes, we worked with these crystals, and many of us hid these crystals in the earth to work with again in the future. So they're coming back to us. You may have a crystal that you actually worked with that crystal or programmed that crystal in the time of Lemuria, or in the time of Atlantis, or in the time of Avalon. You could have worked with that crystal and you programmed it, and now in this lifetime, you are working with it again to awaken that remembrance within you. That is what I feel is really important. We don't have to know all of the details about how things worked in the lost lands, or how everything, exactly where it was located. But when we do tap into that energy of remembrance, yes, we do remember different aspects. We do remember different things. So it's allowing that to come forward again. It's allowing ourselves to remember, hey, I really am a very powerful being, and I am a spiritual being having a human experience, and I have had many, many different lifetimes, and in those lifetimes I have done some incredible things, and I am ready to to reconnect with that energy, to bring that energy forward again so that we can live um, in harmony with the earth and not just use up all of the resources that earth provides for us, but have that balance. And we can have that balance, and we're being called to find that balance again. So I'll end this video here. I know there's so much more that I can talk about. Like I can't, this is my second time recording it. The first time I went on and on and on, and I just was like, you know what, this is too long. So I am recording another one that can be a little bit shorter, that gives you a general idea. And then I will go in and I will do a series of other videos that are about about each one of them, and maybe multiple ones for each one. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to really channel on all of what they want me to bring forward in the video series. So, yeah, I feel like it's going to have to be broke down a little bit more because there is a lot of information coming forward about this, about these different lands. So I'm excited, and I really hope that this helps you in your own awakening, in your own remembrance. If you feel called, I do invite you to join me in my group, Sorceress Circle. It's on Facebook. And there you have an opportunity to, talk with me a little bit more, to ask questions. I post, things about the different lands. I post channeled messages, those kinds of things. It is a great way to connect with me. Of course, I am on Instagram, and I have a Facebook page as well. And you can sign up for my newsletter, which gives you a quiz to see which magical being you may benefit from working with most at this time. It also includes 2 meditations, one of which is to connect with the magical being that you may be called to work with at this time. And the other is with Sophia. So it is an opportunity for you to get to deepen your connection with me, but with magical beings as well, and whoever may be showing up to work with you. All of the links are below. And of course, I do work with people if you're feeling called to deepen that connection and do a session with me, that is available as well. So I will see you guys on the next video. Bye.